So a polling company ran a questionnaire for Republicans and Democrats recently, and in this questionnaire, it basically asked about your concern level, in the United States, things that concern you. And if I didn't even see this survey, I would probably say the top things for Democrats would be race relations, maybe $15 minimum wage, health insurance, really, I mean, any of those types of things. Women's rights, abortion, and stuff like that is probably what I would think Democrats would be concerned about. For Republicans, I'd be like, probably illegal immigration, probably getting back to work, taxes, stuff like that. But when I actually looked at the poll, it was incredibly alarming. And the alarming aspect to me is how different 50% of the country can be from the other 50%. It's crazy. And I don't even know that I don't think it's sustainable. And that's why this is newsworthy. That's why we're going to talk about this, because I don't think this is sustainable. And it's wild. So let's dig into it. So when surveyed, when polled, the Democrats that were polled, their top three concerns were Donald Trump supporters, white nationalism, and systemic racism. Let me say it again. Donald Trump supporters. So the supporters of the guy you didn't support. So basically, any human being that differs from you politically, you think is an immediate threat to your life. That's insane. The second one is white nationalism. I said this in a different pod. I've never met a white nationalist in my life, and I almost guarantee I never will. And I bet none of you have either. I bet none of you have ever actually met a real life member of the KKK or a real life Nazi. That's what a white nationalist is. It's not like just a racist. It's not just like some guy who just is like really pro-American. A white nationalist is a human being who genuinely believes that only white people should exist. The chances that you meet that person, there's not many of those people. Maybe 10, 20,000 maybe in this entire country. You're not going to run into one of those people, and if you do, you're probably never going to know because they're not going to tell you. Like maybe you'd meet one if you were in prison. That's about the only chance. But that's crazy. That's the second biggest concern to Democrats. Unreal. It's just insane. Third one is systemic racism. Systemic racism. Now, the only reason I could think that they're choosing systemic racism is that they don't understand what the hell a systemic racism is. They see the word racism and they're like, I gotta check that one because I'm not a racist, and they just check it. Systemic racism means that a genuine belief that the systems within the United States are rigged to disproportionately harm people of color. That is an important thing, but that is not the third most. You wouldn't think that that's the third biggest thing that concerns that many people. Those three had some level of concern for 90% of people polled. 90+% for every single one of them. That is nuts. Absolutely insane. Those three things are basically three ways of saying that you do not trust half the country, you think they're out to harm you, and you genuinely dislike half the country. That's why I say that's not sustainable as a country. You can't sustain when half the country genuinely has a dislike for the other half of the country. How do you get along? How do you hang out? How do your kids interact? How does anything happen when you have a genuine fear like that? And we're going to discuss later, the fear's stupid. It has no basis in reality. But that's just crazy. So before we get into that part, let's get on to the Republicans. So the Republicans, their top 3 worries, biggest concerns for them in America, were illegal immigration, lack of support of police, and high taxes. 3 policy issues. Those 3, illegal immigration affects everyone, your job, my job, everybody's jobs. It's a jobs thing. Lack of support for police. It's a security thing. Your security, my security, everybody's security. High taxes. Income. Your income, my income, everybody's income. There are 3 things impact every single person in the country and should be concerns for every single person in the country. They're policy issues. One side, their entire world revolves around hating and fearing the other side, while the other one is concerned with policy issues. That is insane. That's got to be a first in the history of this world. It has to be a first in the history of this world where half the population versus the other half could be so insanely different and have just insanely different perceptions. Because the crazy thing is the left has been the violent ones all for the last year. They've been rioting, looting, killing, assaulting, attacking police, everything. And one thing happens on January 6th where people walk into a Capitol and they're the ones to fear. That's crazy. That is insane that those people, because of one thing that they label as an insurrection, which is the dumbest thing in the world because it wasn't an insurrection. If you know what an insurrection is, that wasn't it. But those people got listed as basically domestic terrorists, man. For one cup, a 3-hour, basically a sit-in is what it was. While that group of people looks at the ones that were actually terrorizing this entire country for a year, and they don't even worry about it. They worry about illegal immigration, the police, and high taxes. It's unbelievable, man. So nuts. But it baffles my mind, man. It's just crazy. So why how did that happen? That's what's nuts to me. So why I say that is this. We basically, the left had been just sitting, waiting to label the right as these domestic terrorists and huge threat. And we never gave them the opportunity. We never really gave them the chance. They kept trying to manufacture things, but they really couldn't get anything to stick. Then January 6th happens, and they immediately buy into this propaganda by the media. And when I say that word, this is another crazy thing, is when I say propaganda, I guarantee your head immediately went to right-wing propaganda, because we've been doing that. I've been noticing that with friends and family and stuff, is they only use the word propaganda when they're referring to the right. I'm gonna tell you some propaganda from the left that has caused all of this insanity. Okay, the most notable is the media in this country released right after January 6th that these domestic terrorists had beaten a police officer to death with a fire extinguisher. Yeah, that didn't happen. That was completely false. That gentleman actually died of a heart attack at his home the next day. His mother came out and actually said that. The fire extinguisher thing was never even remotely a reality. Yet the left-wing propaganda machine created this false narrative to paint a whole group of people as domestic terrorists. That's what's nuts, is we've gotten to this point where we label half the country as these lunatic domestic terrorists, racists, Nazis, all this just insane language. And really, all of that stuff is being perpetrated by the other side, the side that claims to fear. Like, it's just insane. Like on January 6th, for instance, there was, I think it was 5 people, it might have been 6, that actually died. 1 was shot by a police officer and killed. Trump supporter. 1 was a police officer who had a heart attack, the one I just talked about. And then all the others had died from some type of medical emergency. So either heart attack, stroke. One guy, again, another Trump supporter, got knocked down when people were going into the Capitol, and I guess got stepped on and ended up basically having a heart attack as a result of that. Basically got trampled. But there was no violence perpetrated, like deathly violence against any police or any left-wing person, any politician, anything. But you wouldn't know that if you watched our news. Our news, the way they've made it out, is exactly why these people think Trump supporters, white nationalists, and systemic racism are the 3 biggest concerns in their lives. Because our media, that propaganda machine that nobody wants to label as propaganda, has created this image, has created this group of people that walk around scared for their goddamn lives, and they have nothing to be afraid of. Nothing. I've never seen conservatives walking around yelling at liberals, ever. Like, what I have seen is liberals walking around taking red hats off of people's heads, assaulting people, calling people every terrible name you can think of. That doesn't happen on the other side. But again, the side that's doing this stuff is deathly afraid of the side that's not. That is insane. Like, oh my God, it is one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life. And like, we've just accepted it. We've accepted that this is how life is, to the point where now we censor the right of this country because they could be inciting violence. Again, I can't say this enough. The right has incited next to zero violence. The left is responsible almost exclusively for all the violence in this country. All of it. They're the ones assaulting people on the streets. They're the ones assaulting police. They're the ones burning stuff down. They're the ones looting. They're the ones that we boarded up every damn building in this country because we thought they were going to lose the presidential election. When they won, we literally took the boards down because we don't have to worry about the right of this country. We have to worry about the people that are scared of the other half. Like, that's insane. Absolutely insane, man. God damn it. It is just, it's such a weird world, man, that we live in. I don't even know how to I don't even know how to explain it, man. It is weird. It is scary. But again, I will say that again. The Democrats of this country, at a 90% plus clip, think the 3 biggest worries in this country, in their lives, things they fear when they wake up and walk out the door, are Donald Trump supporters, white nationalists, and systemic racism. Talk about waking up and fearing the boogeyman. Like, that's your life right now. It's just living in fear of something that does not really exist. On the other side, Republicans like myself, I wake up in the morning and I worry about stuff like illegal immigration, lack of support for our police, and high taxes. That's quite a contrast in how we live. We live in 2 different Americas, folks. I'm going to be happy on my side. Good luck to everybody.